Hello everyone, Darcinovia here. I figured, you know what, why not do a top 10? This isn't anything special. It's just my top 10 Star Wars Expanded Universe novels that stand out to me, the ones I have my favorite, and the 10 novels that I'm looking forward to reviewing most. Of course, some of them can be the first of a series, so you may see those. Um, so I'm going to begin. I'm going to begin with this one. I'm going to start this off. I, Jedi. One of the first novels I reviewed when I started reviewing Star Wars Expanded Universe novels. And of course, I don't do the comics as often, but I mainly do the novels. What makes this book one of the best, in my opinion? At least the one that stands out. I felt this was a great way to expand upon the Jedi Academy trilogy, and I feel like the character that appeared in here, Corran Horn, who's not mentioned that much, you find out what he was doing during those events. And it gives you more insight on what happened. And it does show the flaws of Luke Skywalker as a teacher, even though some people have a problem with that. You know, it makes Luke into a bad character, at least this book. I don't agree, but that's not what the point is about. I think this is a good book. Some people may not like the first-person style of writing, but I loved it. This is one of my favorite books, and definitely a good companion piece for the Jedi Academy trilogy. Though, in my opinion, I do feel like you can skip the Jedi Academy trilogy if you wanted to and to read this instead. I feel like you could still get the full story. Another one of my favorite novels, one of the last ones that were published before the expanded universe was declared not canon, Maul Lockdown. This is probably the most violent Star Wars, story ever written, as far as I know. This story was extremely bloody and gory, and Jonathan Davis, if you listen to the audiobook, holy shit. This is amazing. I love this. Not to mention all the connections it has to past, materials, even some to the video game, Star Wars Bounty Hunter and the Mandalore. And I feel like this also, explains certain events that happened in the novel of Darth Plagueis. Anyway, it was a great story. I felt like this is the best Darth Maul story ever told, and I feel like he does not need another story, which unfortunately they're going to milk him for what he's worth because he's popular for some fucking reason, but that's not what it's about. Now, some other books. This might be a little controversial later on, so I'm not going to show it yet, but Allegiance. Not only is it rare that you get to see the Imperials' point of view in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, but this was a really good story because it showed, okay, it's not all people in the Imperial Navy are bad people. And these are deserters, which they were really good characters in their own right, and I really wish there was more stories about them. I personally think this was one of Timothy Zahn's best books. It was something different, not to mention, it was one of the few stories in the EU that you get a chance to see Mara Jade as the Emperor's Hand, which is something you don't see at all in the other parts of the expanded universe. So I thought it was a great story for that reason. And who doesn't want to read about stormtroopers, even if they're deserters? I felt they were great characters. I definitely recommend it. This is in a series. It's controversial, like I said, this list. Star by Star. Probably a lot of people's favorite book in the New Jedi Order series. It's not mine. I felt like this book, it was the turning point of the New Jedi Order series. The first half of the series builds up Anakin Solo as the person that's going to be the hero and be Luke's successor. But this does a curveball, and spoiler alert, he dies. And it sets things in motion that will happen later in the timeline. And another book from New Jedi Order, the first book in the series, one of my personal favorites, Vector Prime. Why would I put the first book of the series over a lot of the other stuff? Well, what I loved about this book is it was the first time it introduced us to the Yuuzhan Vong, and this set things up for future books. And this book had the balls to kill Chewie, which this pissed many people off back at the time. And I felt like it showed for the first time that these characters were vulnerable. And when I read this book, any doubts I had about the Vong they vanished. Because I felt they were a stupid idea at first until I read Vector Prime, and I was like, man, I'm actually liking these characters. So yeah, a underrated book that gets a much undeserved hate because of a popular character getting killed. I think the death threats to R.A. Salvatore were uncalled for. But yeah, that's my part of this list. And another book from the Jedi Order, the last book in the series, the Unifying Force. This was a great way to end the series, and James Luceno does a great job of giving this series a proper ending. I reviewed this not that long ago, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but the build-up from all the other books that led up to this one was amazing. And in my opinion, if the expanded universe ended with this novel, at least in the timeline, it would have been a perfect time to stop. In my opinion. That's how great it was. This, to me, is probably my favorite book in the entire series. Traitor, or Traitor, that's how it's pronounced. This novel, Matthew Stover, this was one of his first. This, to me, I felt like it was torture to find out what happened to Jason after the events of Star by Star, and you had to wait like multiple books just to see what happened and to see, what transpired. It was amazing, and it's just the character development in that book. His views about the Force has completely changed, and again, like the other books, it set things in motion of things that will happen later in the timeline. My second favorite book in the expanded universe, it's a hard one. It tossed between number one, but I figured no. It's a good book, but I don't consider it the best. Darth Plagueis. This is amazing. It really is. I love this novel. James Luceno, this is James Luceno's best book he's ever written. This is a treat to read, especially if you've read majority of those stories. It links Jedi Apprentice. It links, some of the more obscured stuff, even Star Wars Bounty Hunter, some of the, ancient Sith like Naga Sadow, Exar Kun, Darth Bane, Darth Zana, all these characters. This book was released at the right time because it connected everything. And of course, you don't need to read all those to appreciate it, but you won't be able to appreciate it as much. It's definitely a great read. I love this book. And my first hardcover I bought for the EU. Now, for my personal favorite expanded universe book of all time, and I still consider this the best book about the Sith, Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. I've reviewed this. This is my all-time favorite Star Wars novel. This is the reason why I'm the EU fan. It's because of this book. Darth Bane was such a great character, and reading about him, seeing his struggles from being a minor, to him being one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and having him help set in motion events that will happen later. He's the reason why the Jedi were destroyed, because he destroyed the Sith and put them into. You got to read this. It's a really good book. That's my top 10 favorite novels. Now, these are my top 10, in no particular order, books I'm looking forward to reading and reviewing. Republic Commando Hard Contact. These are highly regarded, though there's some people that have mixed feelings about these because of Karen Traviss, so I can't comment. Never read any of her books. Darth Rendezvous. This is one of the few books that even feature Yoda as a main character, and I'm looking forward to reading that when I talk about the Clone Wars. Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader. Labyrinth of Evil. These are part of the Dark Lord trilogy. All these I'm going to review sometime this year, if not sometime next year. Jedi Quest, the series. The entire series of Young Jedi Knights. I've already reviewed the first 3 books, but looking forward to talking about this series some more. Kenobi. I'm looking forward to reviewing this. I hear great things about it. The novelization of Revenge of the Sith. And if I manage to read everything, I like to get started before episode 8 comes out on the Legacy of the Force series. I like to start talking about this. And that's pretty much it. This is my video. What do you guys think? What Star Wars Expanded Universe novels stood out to you the most? Comment below. As always, have a great day, everyone, and may the Force be with you. Always.